Okay, welcome everybody to what might be a edited 1 hour rebellion video. I seem to have lost my intro. I don't know where it is. I've got to find it. So I got to get that reloaded up. But this is the inaugural round one match of mine for the 2025 tournament. Link in the Discord, or link to the Discord in the description below. Feel free to join. I am playing Nico. Nico is primarily an Imperial player, but we rolled dice at the beginning of the game to see who would play what side, and I came up Imperial. So that's lucky for me. That's my preferred faction as well. Nico, in a previous match or opportunity or game or whatever, said that he thought he stood about a 5% chance of winning as Rebels. I don't want to fall for that, so we're just going all in. We're going to do our best to try to prevent objectives today. You can see this is a little bit longer of a video, so stick with me. I will try to walk through. So for those of you who have not watched a lot of Rebellion videos before, maybe you're my friends from the Dune or Dracula channels, it's a good game. I'll try to explain a little bit as to what's going on, but we'll see. So I start off with deciding to select Mahdi, and Leia starts off with R2. Now Mahdi will give me a couple of bonus moves throughout the game, which I like. I also don't have a ton of things to subjugate, and my goal here is really to play a very disciplined Imperial game here. So by disciplined, I mean I want to think about I want to limit the amount of troops that the rebels get, and I want to be able to press and attack and defeat the base. So you can see here that the rebels have selected their missions, and they have Leia on a mission and Mon Mothma on trade negotiations. Everybody's favorite card to start with a Mon Cal and a Nebulon in build turn 3. So my real decision here, since Tarkin is already busy, is do I try to sneak a trade negotiations in now while Leia is busy? Or do I try to R&D assuming that Leia is on sabotage? So if Leia's on sabotage and I successfully wait and then do an R&D, I could get a super Star Destroyer potentially and a regular Star Destroyer. If I go with trade negotiations, I could sneak that in early, but not to get a Star Destroyer. So I'm looking at the map and I decide that my weak point is Mustafar. In terms of I have one Star Destroyer on Corellia that's going to need to cover the Endor Hoth region. I have a Death Star that's potentially going to head towards Ilum and Dantooine. I have a Star Destroyer on Rhodia that's going to go through Utapau and end up in Ryloth. So my plan is to have the Star Destroyer at Saleucami or Salakami, I don't know. Everybody always corrects me when I say it wrong. To go to Mon Cal and then double back around and eventually possibly meet up the Death Star in Dantooine. So for that reason, I'm going to value building loyalty on Mustafar more than I will getting a Super Star Destroyer on turn 1. Now it does mean that somebody's probably going to sabotage Corellia here, and it does mean I'm not going to get a project and I'm not going to get a Star Destroyer on turn 1, and both of those are bad. But you can see by these red lines I've drawn on the map that I've just decided that my Star Destroyer in Corellia is overmatched. And if it has to go check Dagobah and Mustafar and Hoth and Bespin, it's just never going to make it to Endor. Okay, so Corellia is sabotaged as predicted. Leia is on Build Alliance likely, and that will be done on Utapau most likely, so I should freely be able to build in Mustafar here. Now, Mustafar is nice because now I don't need to go to that planet, and that'll save me a move down the road. And I can potentially build on Mustafar to check for Hoth or Dagobah. All right, I'm going to go ahead and move the whole party to Naboo with Vader because I need to plan on taking those guys out. And also I need to hedge against possibly crippling blow, which is likely what's coming up. Anytime rebels put the, anytime rebels put those starting transports out, it means they're likely thinking about scoring crippling blow. So I am going to get a TIE fighter on turn 1, and with that I will likely actually build a striker and then deposit that on Naboo. Now I pull Tatooine and Dagobah here, which are great pulls. I'm very happy about those. And then I pull Ozzel, which is an almost automatic take. Okay. While we sort our builds here, we see that the rebels take Chirrut, which is also a good leader, and I've got Ozzel. So we're both off to good starts. Really, and again, playing disciplined here, I want to try to prevent crippling blow. So I need to put a striker on the Star Destroyer so that I can kill one of the landing units if he deploys some extra stuff there. And then probably like an ATST on Naboo. All right, let's talk about the goal of this game. The goal of this game is to find the hidden rebel base. The hidden rebel base is represented by this probe card in the top left-hand corner of the map. It is one of the many planets that are on this area. Now, the base cannot be hidden if it is an Imperial loyal or an Imperial subjugated system. Those are the little Imperial markers and Stormtrooper markers on the bottom right of the planets here. And it cannot remain hidden basically if an Imperial troop lands on it. So the rebels are going to try to kill Imperial troops, try to kill Imperial transports, and generally try to hide the base while I try to discover it and balance the fact that I have too many places to check and never enough leaders to do that with. So it's very much like a resource management sort of game. So the early play with putting Mahdi on the board, it does cost an action by Tarkin, but I will gain an action by Mahdi for potentially 2 extra actions before I run out of leader room, and then I'll need to sacrifice him. He also hedges against cards like Confrontation, which are good. So now I'm looking at the map, thinking to myself, I need to move the Star Destroyer to Felucia. I need to move probably the Star Destroyer to Celeste. I need to move a Star Destroyer to Utapau. I probably need to move an assault carrier or the Death Star somewhere. So that's at least 4 moves. I probably can afford 1 single mission. So I have to think about here what objectives can he score. And we've tried to hedge against crippling blow, although he has Chirrut out. So nope, I guess he doesn't. So we have to try to hedge against crippling blow. He also has 2 loyalty on Utapau and Naboo. And there is an objective for loyalty in all eligible systems in a quadrant. So if he gains loyalty in Celeste, he will also have a point there. So I think I need to run a roll by fear, but I also need to run a R&D to free up Corellia. So I have to kind of prioritize those, and it looks like I opt to do the R&D here instead of the roll by fear. Probably because Leia's back, and Leia could fairly easily block a rule by fear attempt, even if I have the Emperor and Vader together, because it's basically 4 dice against 2, and that's a reasonable chance that the rebels block it. Again, being a resource management game, if you're playing the action points by having extra, Mahdi around for the extra turns, it's also important not to waste your actions to lean into that advantage. So tag is just going with, excuse the background noise there. So tag is just going with R&D for that reason. All right, so off and about, we're going to start by subjugating a rebel planet and squishing rebel troops. We have a striker card to do that with. If he does not bring, okay, little note here, Star Destroyer can only bring 6. So by having the, I had one too many there to bring, but I did need that striker and I did need that extra AT-AT. So I didn't want to leave a TIE fighter behind and leave an option for decisive victory. He does not bring a leader, which means the transport will not survive the round. So I can just blow up a unit to get some value out of that striker. He'll do a damage to the striker and I will heal it. Now my options here are to use the 501st to eliminate another troop and minimize his rolls, or I can block hits, or I could cancel his card with the striker. I think canceling the card might actually be the most correct thing to do here, but blocking hits seems like a reasonable play too. So does flipping the combat. I think any of those would be fine. Okay, I block hits, he blocks hits. I roll pretty well, 2 damage in. And he has 1 damage back. 2, but the ATSTs take red damage, so they only can absorb 1 hit point. So they're okay with their armor. Okay, so Utapau is done. All right, next move here, Rebels do is Rapid Mobilize. That will allow them to pull 4 probes off the top of the probe deck, look at them, and shuffle them and place them at the bottom of the deck. Optionally, if they choose to move, they can do that as well. I moved my Star Destroyer to Felucia, all part of the plan. That's got to go to Yavin and Dathomir. I leave a TIE Fighter and an ATST behind in Mon Calamari. And then Leia goes to Celeste, which means that she is likely playing for loyalty there. There's not a lot I can do about that because I don't have a rule by fear. I could move, I need to move the Emperor to Celeste or Vader to Celeste anyway because I need to move my ship there. So maybe I get lucky with a block. It seems unlikely, but better to try than not try at all. I think I bring enough, yeah. Looks like I do not bring the assault carrier, which is probably fine because that assault carrier is headed to Cato Nemoidia anyway. Okay, so I'll build there, see what Chirrut has. He very well may have a... Nope, I'm just going to try to build alliance against the Emperor. Now I could drop Vader there, but I think we're just throwing good money after bad at that point. So we're going to try to get lucky with a block here. I roll 4. He rolls 3, but here's where R2 comes in favor or in handy. So we get rid of R2, which is fine. He gets a loyalty there, which is fine. And then that will score him an objective. So, okay. Or at least it likely will. I'm assuming that's why he's fighting so hard for it. Okay, next move, since my Star Destroyers are moved, I need to ask myself the question, which assault carriers are the most painful to lose in the event of a hit and run? And the answers are, it's like equally annoying to lose the Seleucami one and the Corellia one. So I'll move both of those with my last remaining 2 regions. And what that does is that puts that one assault carrier in range of covering 5 systems. So Toydaria is very good for that. Now it can't easily cover 5, but depending on my probes that I draw, it may need to cover less. So Chirrut's out with a sabotage. And you can see that Tag was trying to wait out Chirrut there. try to encourage him to sabotage like a subjugated system instead of a loyal system. He's going to go ahead and sabotage Mustafar. That's fine. I will play R&D. On Corellia, I think, so I can deploy there. Nope, guess not. I moved to, yeah, okay, I moved Vader first. I don't think that's a risky play at all, because we know he doesn't have any actions left. So we'll get rid of that, and then we'll R&D in Corellia, and we'll try to draw a super or something fun. He does have 2 Moncals on the queue. Okay, construct factories, okay. There's the regional support objective to get his first point for having 3 loyalty on the board. We did make him fight pretty hard for that. We didn't contest it. It just didn't go through. And I drew carbon, which is pretty nice. And now the rebels are drawing their first 4 cards from the probe deck for rapid. Now he's doing this not because he's planning on moving the base, but he wants to know where he can safely move the base to later. All right, so he's putting the cards back. And let's see what we draw. We draw Ord and Toydaria. Okay, fine. Not perfect, but not terrible. I draw Interrogation, not great. I've got some intel cards, but not enough. I also didn't save any ground troops to deploy here, so I'm a little bit light, even though I do have an assault carrier. I think ideally I would put that in Toydaria, but I don't have the troops to move around, unfortunately. Okay, Secret Facility and Krennic's Finest is the pick here, because I'm holding on to Carbonite. Now, Ord could be a good Secret Facility location. Tatooine could be good if he turns out to be in Ryloth. Dagobah could be good for like a raid outposts, would be a nice thing to consider. If he ends up drawing raid outposts, I'd have a place to put that. I think briefly about running a homing beacon, but Krennic's Finest just makes more sense. And then looks like we went for Ord Mantell. I don't know if Dagobah would have been better. Raid Outposts is such a nasty objective that sometimes it's worth using this card if you draw it early to hedge against that card, but so be it. Okay, where to deploy these guys? We put a striker in Felucia. Okay, maybe I should have put that TIE Fighter in Felucia, but I also need to make sure Corellia just doesn't get Rebel Loyal and build another Moncal there. So now the big question is what to do with this assault carrier. So Mandalore is an option because that's loyal. Utapau could be an option, except I already know about Dagobah. So Celeste really is probably the best spot here. Maybe you could make a case for Rhodia and split the Rhodian troops up into 2 separate sections. So yeah, I guess we'll see there. Okay, so Rebel player set with Chirrut back. So Chirrut is an attacking hero, so he could still be trying to score crippling blow. I'm going to run, again, we're trying to play principled chess, principled rebellion here. So we've got a construct factory, we've got an R&D, because we know he's probably going to sabotage something, and we know there's an existing sabotage to clean up. So I'm going to get rid of both of those. And then also running a rule by fear seems like it could be a good idea. I'm also debating on gathering intel because he's got a couple of groups in the base, but he could be attacking out early. So I don't know. He does have General Maydean. Maydean's kind of a pain to deal with, but Vader can block him fairly easily. So I kind of want to keep Vader back. I also kind of want to run a capture, but I'm not super stoked on anything in particular. I decided against running the rule by fear because Chirrut's got a nice block ability there. So we're just going to clean things up. Maybe Leia's on subversion and we're going to waste it. Maybe Chirrut's back to block and we're going to waste it. I don't know. Old man is going to infiltrate. Okay. Go ahead. Then we want to hold off on using our R&D a little bit. Actually, we don't need to hold off on using R&D. Okay, Krennic's Finest. So we're moving the assault carrier down to Bespin instead of the Star Destroyer. So the thought process here is he has 2 Moncals and 2 Nebulons on the queue, meaning he can deploy 2 Moncals into the base. If I move my Star Destroyer down there and he's in Hoth or Endor, he can just attack out and eliminate my Star Destroyer, and then I'm going to have to move the Death Star over at that point to deal with the base, and the Death Star is going to be vulnerable, and I don't have Secure the Plans, and he's early in his level 2s, meaning he's not going to be forced to pass on Death Star objectives. And he just ran covert operations to pull a level 2 into his hand. So I really don't want to blunder that Star Destroyer. So we'll clean up Mustafar, fine, no problem. There's my super, I like that. Let's get that on the queue as fast as possible. Rapid Mob, okay. And that means Leia's probably on Sabotage, which is a little bit weird. Like, why not Chirrut? Also, you'll notice Leia got the K2SO ring, so she lost R2, but she picked up Cassian's ring, which is kind of annoying. That makes her a 2-fist icon leader, which means she could be running a hit and run, even though it's a little bit unlikely. So I do want to keep Vader back. But just in case it's Sabotage, I don't want to waste tag either. Okay, it's Sabotage. Listen, all y'all, it's a Sabotage. I'm a little surprised he didn't do that on Utapau. But since I don't have anybody else on missions, and Mothma doesn't care what tag's doing, I might as well get that Star Destroyer on the queue, so that feels fine. With a Construct Factory. Also, because he didn't do that on Utapau, makes me think he might not be in Ryloth. But I might be overthinking that. At the time of playing this game, I remember thinking to myself, it's unlikely it's Alderaan. All the sabotages have been in the Endor Hoth region, so it's likely there. But I'm not anywhere near the point where I need to overcommit. I've done a good job against blocking objectives so far, so all that seems reasonable. All right, Chirrut goes to somewhere where Mothma wants to build alliance, probably. Okay. It is a build turn. Do I want to? Mothma almost 100% is on build alliance, so yeah, I just got to think about where I want to cover, unless I want to try to block it. I have to cover Kashyyyk at some point. So it sort of seems like that would be an okay move. But then I get a little bit spooked about Alderaan right here, and I think, well, gosh, if they're just on Alderaan and they drew a level 2 already, and they just go for the Death Star next turn, and they bring a bunch of stuff to kill the shield bunker, like, let's just rule that out, I think. If they build Alliance in Ord, I can subjugate that. If they build Alliance in Kashyyyk, I can subjugate that with Toydaria still, even though it puts me out a little bit. So he goes ahead and does that. So now I either have to subjugate or blockade it, and then I get one extra movement. And my one extra movement is going to be to move this Star Destroyer to Geonosis, because I feel like Ryloth is a legitimate possibility here. So I don't want to just leave one Star Destroyer in. I'll just bring everything. So I've got a decent sized force that could take a hit, maybe. Then I'll build an Ord. Too bad he didn't build Alliance on there. And then I don't really need to move the Death Star. I'm not too worried about it. If I build a shield bunker where the Death Star is, if they open with a sabotage, then I can move to the other one. He could use Maydeen, maybe. And again, trying to play principled rebellion here. I just want to prevent the rebels from building things, so I don't want 2 more units on the queue that I have to deal with. So I'll just blockade things with Kashyyyk, with the assault carrier here. Now he could be on Kashyyyk, but that would be very unusual, I think. Okay, all set. Okay, leave no one behind. That's too hard of a one to deal with. Okay, so he's got leave no one behind, and he's got regional support booked. Both of those are 2 points so far. Okay, Rapid's done. He does not move the base. We are moving up to round 4. Drew Nal, Hutta, and Bathui, which feels pretty good. So that just means I've got Kessel left. I'm making an assumption that the base is not on Kashyyyk. I covered it with a subjugated marker. It is not actually subjugated. That could be a big mistake, but at the time I was very positive he wasn't there. Okay, I'm going to take Director Krennic so I can look at the top 3 objective cards and get an idea here of what's going on. And there's a little trick to be done here. So because the objective deck has 1 level 2 and 2 level 3s, I can put a level 2 and a level 3 together and force them to pick one of them with their infiltrate, but I will know which one it is. If I put the 2 level 3s together, they will not know. So I decide that Raid Imperial Factory and the 6 loyalty objective are the easy ones to score. So I put those together on top, and then I put the difficult level 3, which is establish outposts, on the bottom. So we'll keep that in mind because that'll come into play later this game. Okay, meanwhile, gonna build some things. Okay, got a lot of Star Destroyers, a lot of ACs on the map. He deployed 1 Calamari and 1 Nebulon into the base. That says 2 things for me. 1, he might be able to go for the Death Star. 2, he might be able to kill a Star Destroyer and an assault carrier. So I have 3, pretty much not learned anything from his deployment, even though 4, I really want to learn something from his deployment. So at this point, I start thinking he's in Kessel, because if I'm the Rebel player and I'm in Ryloth, I'm deploying 2 Moncals into that nonsense and deploying stuff onto Ryloth itself. He doesn't do that, so I don't think he's on Ryloth. I sound like I'm in The Princess Bride now. I could deploy a shield bunker into Yavin, but I take the risk of him sabotaging that so he could rapid there later. I'm a little bit worried he's going to go for the Death Star. If he Maydeens the shield bunker, I would Ozzel into the other shield bunker, is I think what I would do here, and then keep Vader back to block a sabotage. And that would help me because I would know he's got Death Star plans as level 2. We know it's a possibility because we only saw a level 2 and we did not see the Death Star plans in there. So he very likely could be holding on to those. I think he's got one level 2 in his hand currently. Now I do have retrieved the plans in Carbon, but I have been trying, again, I've been trying to not waste my actions by getting things blocked. So I'm deployed. Let's see what everybody does. All right, Rebels are looking set. Now they have Chirrut and Maydean on a card together. Keep in mind, we think they have Crippling Blow, but in the base deck, Demolition can be a big problem. So I'm pretty sure they're planning on running Demolition in Utapau is what I'm predicting first turn for them. Because that's a 3 strength objective card. And I am holding on to too many cards in my hand. Now, I don't think that's actually a big violation here, but I just noticed that. I'm holding on to 2 interrogations, so those would be the 2 cards I would drop. I think I'm at 12 total there. Okay, I consider trying to figure out if I can run a homing beacon and capture gimmick here. And I spend quite a while thinking about it. And in the end, what I think is that I'm likely to figure out where the base is this turn with an attack out. I feel like that's why they might have Cassian back. So I'm going to fast forward while I think about trying to run a homing beacon on a rebel hero that has 4 intel skills. Okay, 20 minutes later, I decide that instead of trying to run a homing beacon, I'm going to run a capture, and just a capture, because I can feed that into Carbonite later. I'll run a Rule by Fear because there's nobody back to block it, and I'll run an R&D to clean up a potential sabotage. And it is not Demolition, it is Lead the Strike Team. Okay. And it's on Bespin. So, that says the base is probably an Endor or Hoth. That goes with the sabotage in Corellia and Mustafar. But I kept Vader back to block Demolition, so why don't I just block this? It's 4v3. That's pretty good odds. I've been rolling pretty good. I could risk confrontation. I only roll 1, they only roll 2. Okay, but it goes through. I'm at risk for confrontation. But here's the other thing. I have Mahdi. I'm about to recruit another hero, and I already have Krennic's Finest on the board. So, Vader's a tough one to replace, but so be it. And he's bringing a lot to this fight here. 2 speeders is no joke. So he's probably going to go for the Vader kill. And he could optionally play Chirrut's card, or I guess Maydean's card if it's point blank assault. Now he plays Chirrut's to kill the ATST and not the assault carrier. Okay. I need to not die here. But he's probably going to tow cables. Maybe he goes for the kill, but going for the kill seems like a lot. I think I should probably play Imposing Presence here so I could see what he goes for, and then play a follow-up card, like no card next turn would be a good one. But instead, I'm just going to try to kill things, right? I'm not that worried about Vader dying. And he apparently does not want to use his Tow Cables card and wants to just see if he can kill some stuff. So, okay. He's probably going to wipe my guys here because he, one hit. Okay, because he didn't kill the assault carrier, Vader can escape. He rolled blanks again. Wow, not good for him. Okay, so he kills that and opens up the possibility for a Vader kill, maybe. I roll. I'd love to kill that speeder. I feel like I should re-roll that other black too and maybe kill the speeder. Wow, I'm going to re-roll the red. Okay, oh, jeez. All right, 2 speeders dead. And a troop. And he's only got 1 more guy left. So now, do I stay or do I go? I don't want to get confronted. I think I don't want to get confronted. Vader's better than just about everybody else. He could be on Hoth, so having my assault carrier in Endor is valuable, just like having it in Bespin's valuable. And there's a chance I kill this guy here with the 501st and he doesn't kill me back. I mean, he's got to play like a Tow Cables card at this point or a Hold Them Back card to get it. But because I have a valid retreat square that's still useful, I think there's value to retreating to Mustafar, and then I can always move the Star Destroyer in. Granted, it will be trying to deal with Moncals if I do that, but that's okay. Let's see how this plays out. Okay, so I retreat to Mustafar and play 501st. Sorry for the screen being all twitchy. I get nervous when I play and the games are good. Okay, so he does 1 damage to me. I need to roll a heal. I do not. That's okay. I can't get all the luck. Bespin is cleared, but it is not liberated. Oh, he did score crippling blow, though. So, okay, fine. Here I am trying to prevent things from happening, and he does them anyway. So it's good that he got value out of Chirrut's card, man. That's good. I mean, it still feels like Endor, doesn't it? With Cassian left to move, I don't really want to stumble the Star Destroyer in there. Okay, so Mahdi's going to lead the attack on Ryloth, but not with much, because I don't think the base is there. Otherwise, I think he deploys on Ryloth. So I think I'll try to keep my ATST back. And I'll just try to cancel a card with the Striker. And try not to get Mahdi killed. Yeah, you should really do a damage, Wombat. I don't think he... Oh, yeah, okay. I cancel his card. Okay, fine. Should have just done a damage. Blanks. 1 with Mahdi. Blank again. Okay, he rolls a hit. Now we're in trouble. He cannot play a card this turn. I go ahead and retreat, I guess. And then he, actually, neither he nor I can play a card this turn. Because we both played no card next. Oh no, I canceled his no card next turn, right? So yeah, so then he had a card to play, I had a card to play. Okay, ended up working out. Got Ryloth. It can still be cleared by hit and run, but I got my carrier back into a more usable spot. Okay, all good. I got to move to Dathomir here. Okay. So why is there a level 2 on top of this now? Didn't we just do that last turn? Or no, that's this turn. We did that with Krennic. Okay, yeah, this is why that's important to do. So we know the level 2 have 6 loyalty, and we know level 3 is attack and win in a square system. So he put Raid Factory on the bottom, which means I can play to block 6 loyalty now. Now he is at 6 loyalty already, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4 in Kashyyyk, 5 in Moncal, 6 in Ryloth. So I need to block his loyalty, and I need to rule by fear in a rebel system are the two things that need to successfully happen here. So I want to hold my rule by fear back until I can block Mothma. And I stand a slightly better than 50-50 chance of blocking Mothma with the Emperor. So I feel like since I already have a leader advantage, that's a reasonable thing to do. Now he just added a shield bunker to the base, which is really annoying. But I can't afford to block that, or try to, because I need to prevent this objective from happening. And he's only got 2 guys in the base, so that's okay. So I run the rule by fear first, I guess, to try to see if Leia was on... I don't know, that was risky. He could have blocked that with Cassian. Maybe I wanted to do that before he... I don't know. I probably should have tried that on Ryloth. It would have been a little bit less tempting to block. Okay, and he goes ahead and builds Alliance. And wherever he builds, I'm going to try to block, especially if it's Bothaway. Now he's at 5 loyalty, so if he wins this, which he does not, that's good. Okay, so that means he's going to draw a loyalty card and have 5 loyalty left. Now he's still got a level 1, we don't know what that is. He's got a level 2, and we don't know what that is either. So be it. We think it might be the Death Star plans. I don't know, Cassian going to Bespin, but just to hang out. Okay, maybe Leia's on a... It's got to be a sabotage, right? He's not scoring supply lines this round. So options are move to Bespin, move the assault carrier on Alderaan, or move the Star Destroyer and move the assault carrier. Or I could move the Kashyyyk Star Destroyer or assault carrier, which is probably the right move. But I'm thinking, oh no, it's a capture. Okay, we're just going to capture. We're going to capture Dodonna, and we're not going to move the Kashyyyk guy at all. We're just not going to do that. I guess we're going to deploy in Toydaria instead. Okay, we rolled 3 successes with Krennic's Finest and captured Dodonna. He is not the old man that we're looking for, but we're going to take it. Leia is on a sabotage, I assume. And I mean, he's been sabotaging around Endor. So is he going to change it up? He is. He's going to sabotage around Ilum. Okay, fine. So Ilum. Yep. So then that makes Ozzel's move easy. Let's move that assault carrier to Ilum. Get some, or to Ord, so I can get some stuff to Ilum the next turn. Okay, and after much delay, Ozzel taking the assault carrier to Ord after a long decision of whether or not to move the Star Destroyer into Bespin. I figured if the base is in Hoth or Endor, then I'm going to need to rely on that Death Star, and I just don't want to have to rely on the Death Star in a tournament game. And you can see by this probe map here that I'm starting to really narrow it down. I got to go to Dantooine, to Ilum, Hoth, Endor, Kessel, and then Malastare potentially too, or the Nightmare scenario, it's on Kashyyyk. But that really doesn't seem likely to me. I'm holding on to way too many cards here. I noticed that finally. Dropped both my interrogations and my interrogation droid, which I had last turn. I'm also holding on to Lure for some reason. Oh, that's fun. Okay, pulled Jabba the Hutt here, which is nice because that'll give me a 9th leader. My other card was Krennic's Finest Capture card, and I don't need that. I'd much rather have Jabba, especially because I'm going to be fighting for loyalty here too. So I can just stick Jabba on Rule by Fear every turn, basically. All right, my assault carriers are ready for deployment. That feels good. I have one in Mustafar that I can send to Hoth, which would be a good move, I think. I have the bottom left corner covered. I should probably be deploying most of these to Sinlast. No, maybe Rhodia. Maybe Kessel is right. I might actually need one in Seleucami and one in Toydaria. That guarantees I can check Kessel if I do that. Because he can't Maydeen both of my guys there. That also might be overkill. One in Celeste and maybe one in Rhodia. To go to Bothwy or Malastare. Last guy goes to Naboo, it appears. Yep. Okay. One TIE fighter there for good measure. Okay, rebels are set. I have 3 missions I'm debating on playing. Definitely want Jabba on Rule by Fear. Definitely want to run a Carbon. Definitely want to run another Capture. Now, if they rescue Dodonna to start, I can always capture a different person to Carbon then. But I think in order to do that, I need to actually run Tag on the capture because I could block something with Krennic's Finest and then capture with Tag. Is sort of my idea there, and then Carbon with Vader. But if he does not have a rescue, then he'll probably infiltrate first. And then see what Maydeen's up to. Or Leia, I guess. It seems like if he's on a rescue, maybe Cassian would be on it. But in fact, it's infiltrate. Okay, so that means I can probably take my time and move Dodonna around later. It's a little weird to not run Maydeen on that because Maydeen might be better at stopping Carbon, but Leia's not bad either, I guess. Okay, so I opt not to move and try to protect myself against a hit and run by moving Mahdi to Kessel. Interesting. And then now Maydeen runs the rescue. So he wanted a higher chance of that succeeding and not having Krennic or maybe Jabba block it with a subvert. Okay. I overthought everything there. I should have just moved with Krennic's finest somewhere. And then that way, I don't know. I don't know, whatever. All right, Dodonna has to leave. Others decide to stay. Well, now I'm a little stuck because he can play around capture fairly safely, but I just need to keep hiding from like uprising and other things that can hurt me and keep looking for the base, right? So he's not milling, fair. Got to check Dantooine. Check Hoth. Move to Bespin. I mean, I have Ozzel. If I can wait out Cassian, so Cassian passes, then I can move to Hoth and Bespin. That would be great. And maybe he uses Cassian to try to block something. I don't know. I don't know what he would try to block. Maybe I should have ran Gather Intel. I don't know. Okay, and Lando here running Build Alliance. It's always a bad sign because that means Mothma's probably on her mission. So in Bothui, I should probably block that. I don't know what else the Emperor would do, right? Why am I not blocking that? I mean, he's going to build a speeder this turn. That seems awful. All right. Maybe he's thinking he's going to block Mothma's objective. I don't know about that. All right. Maybe I'm just going to solve it with a rule by fear. And I guess maybe I didn't block it because I assumed that Mothma's on her mission, and that will get us to 6 loyalty anyway. And I'm just not even remotely thinking about the fact that it's going to put a speeder in the base. That's the only thing I can think of. I'm pretty sure I have an extra move too. Maybe not if I want to go to Hoth and Bespin. Oh, you know what? I don't want to block because I want to try to wait out his moves because he has 2 leaders back. Yeah, I think that's what's going on here. I'm at 6, he's at 4. Okay, sabotage somewhere. Kashyyyk, maybe? Oh, I remember this move. Okay, so why is he sabotaging Mon Cal? Well, I don't know. Because he could win Uprising in or incite rebellion in either Ord or Mon Cal. So I don't think I have anything to do about that. I have an assault carrier not too far away, so that seems okay. I could I could capture. I could have, just gone for the capture for Riken right now, blocking and then capturing. But the problem is if Mothma's on Uprising, if she's on Rebellion, Incite Rebellion, that's fine. He's going to stay captured. But if she's on Uprising, that's going to free everybody and screw my plans over. So Ozzel's going to go to Malastare because then I can cover Bothui next turn even if a Y-Wing's deployed there. And the Kashyyyk guy's not doing any good sitting there, and I might need to go cover Kashyyyk again as a possibility. Okay, it is uprising. After a fairly long setup decision, we have one X-Wing on top, which means we're not likely to score a decisive victory, right? But he could be looking to score seize control to get rid of that sabotage marker. Oh, and he does heal the X-Wing, so maybe it will be a decisive victory. So I need to try to kill everything here on the ground. He tow cables my guy. Fine. I need no heal for him and then double hit for me. Okay, my walker is very dead. I need a red and a black hit. Or that'll work too. Okay, so no ground victory, air victory. We know it's not raid factory. It is seize control. Oh man, seize control, crippling blow. We know he's got 6 loyalty in his hand. And I just let him get there too. So I have to win this rule by fear. And Chirrut's still on the board, so that's too bad. So I need Chirrut to block this capture. I need Chirrut to fail a capture block and then Jabba to sneak away with a victory, loyalty removal from somewhere. And also I have to worry about Lando and independent operation. So I do want to run I want to run rule by fear in Bespin, but I also don't want to give up that other point because then we're going to be like, the game's almost over. I have like 3 moves left if this carbon doesn't work. All right, so Krennic's Finest is going to hang. Now the right move, okay, so he passes. The right move was probably to at least place a leader somewhere, just in case I had anything tricky. So Tag is going to run the capture, and I'm 4 dice on 3 and a green. Unless Chirrut comes in too. But Chirrut's probably thinking I might need to block Jabba because I need to score that point. And if it's carbon, I can always block the carbon is probably the thought process there. I mean, Vader has to be on carbon. That's the only logical thing, I think. Maybe it's on retrieve the plans. It's a big decision he's got to think through here, for sure. I don't know. And after taking a few minutes to think it through, the decision is not to send Chirrut. I roll 3. He rolls 4. No, he rolls 3. So he blocks it. So no capture. Okay. Now I'm a little worried because I'm trying to decide if I move this Star Destroyer here at all. I go with yes, and I decide to not try my Hoth Gambit, and I just put everything in Bespin. I say, look, if you're there, put that other Mon Cal there, come after me, we'll see. And then I'm also going to run Jabba the Hutt on there for a loyalty. And Chirrut decides not to block that either. And then staying back for Vader. Okay, all right. I'm not sure what he thought Vader was on. Maybe like Imperial propaganda or something. Yeah, that'd be reasonable. Because I was giving him regional support there, so he's probably like, I don't need to deal with loyalty there and worry about independent operation. So man, he has scored 5 objectives on me. Every objective he's picked up so far. We have 1, 2, 3 rounds till the end of the game, and he still could draw a massive level 3. They could be garbage too, but they could be good. We know raid factories at the bottom of the deck, thankfully. Okay, skipping ahead to deployment here. He drops the Moncal in the base. We pretty much know now that he's either in Kashyyyk, and I have totally missed it. I mean, God, just imagine if he's in Kashyyyk, or he's in Hoth and or Endor. And I've been holding Piet's card this whole game. Totally just run it and see if he's in one of those two spots and then attack the other. But where do we deploy these things? Okay, one in Mustafar. Why not in Bespin? Two in Bespin. Okay, that's fine. Do I think that's enough to fend off a rebel fleet? I really don't. But I'm also low on guys too. So I'll put some backup in place. Again, you can't rely on winning the first fight. Now he's also deploying in Moncal, which means I need to try to keep Moncal under control a little bit too, and worry about, you know, him trying to wrap it there too, because I'm not holding on to that probe. I also want to avoid having 3 space figures in a spot that an X-Wing and a Y-Wing could take out, because that's a level 3 objective, so I don't know. So I gotta be real careful with my deployment. All right, after long consideration, rebels are set. Dodonna is back. Okay. What do I need to do here? I desperate. Oh, okay. And Maydeen has popped out on Bespin to blow up my AT-AT, which is a disaster because he has a shield bunker and an ion cannon in the base, and I don't have any other AT-ATs on board, even though I have a planetary assault. Okay, so address delays to put an ATST on the board, carbon because I need it, capture because I don't have anybody captured, Ozzel, Emperor, Krennic to move, planetary conquest because I'm probably going to need that too. Don't exactly know how, but somewhere. Maybe I should have deployed that other Star Destroyer into Bespin, but I feel like I just need reinforcements too. So if carbon does not work, I have maybe one other turn to try to win this. If carbon does work, I might have 2, and I have a Super Star Destroyer here. So like on turn 1, because I didn't put 2 leaders on it. So because I thought I had plenty of time. And we start, and here comes Dodonna. And since we know the base is in Hoth or Endor, now we have to see if he wants to reveal it or not. He asks a question in chat that says, can he retreat to the hidden rebel base? And the answer to that is no. You can only retreat to a revealed spot, not a hidden spot. So now what do? Do I try to fend off this rebel fleet? It depends what he brings, and he thinks about it for a while, so I'm going to fast forward. And after a long thought of sizing up that fleet, trying to determine what his goals in this are, he opts on bringing the rest of his ships minus 1 X-Wing that he leaves on the queue. Okay, so he's got I think 1 Y-Wing too many here. I think he sees that, and I think he ends up swapping a Y-Wing for an X-Wing so he can roll max dice. And then because Krennic never loses, I bring Krennic. Krennic's like for those of you who haven't seen my other videos, Krennic's like my Imperial hero. So Dodonna, Maydeen, doesn't matter. 2 Moncals, 3 Moncals. Krennic is not afraid. He just plays imposing presence, blocks all the hits, rolls all the crits, defeats the rebel fleet. All right, so 2 blocked by the Moncal, 2 blocked by the Star Destroyer. Now, flipping the combat for him, that makes me feel like I can start moving the Death Star if he decides to do that. It also means I can flip the combat next turn if there is a next turn. I want him to identify top or bottom. He says the bottom, so I roll first. Two of those are blocked. That would have been a great second roll. Do I roll red or black? I think I actually roll black here. Just try to remove black dice by getting black hits. I roll 1 extra crit. Okay, 3 hits go through. And 1 black. So just kill the fighters. Nope. Get a little greedy. And we go for the Moncal kill. Okay. Or not the Moncal, the Corellian Corvette. So, sure, that's fine. If we get the Y-Wing, it can't play the Y-Wing card next. And if we get the Corvette, that's good too, I suppose. The X-Wing remove more dice, but don't really have a lot of fighters there either. So he's got 2 rerolls here. He's going for hits. Yeah, we should probably go for... Okay. So 3 hits. That's a carrier. A damage on... Yeah, kill a carrier and then 1 extra damage on another carrier. Sounds right. We got his Corvette, which feels good, and his Y-Wing, which feels good too. Now, Krennic's a boss, so he can stay there, probably. See how ground combat goes. Maydeen's card was pretty vicious there. Okay, confrontation. He flips the combat, I flip the combat back. Now, when both people play confrontation and imposing presence, the attacker needs to declare the first card, which is the flip, and then the flip back, which also makes sense. So that'll keep Krennic alive. He's going to roll for damage. He's got to roll 2 crits and a black hit, which is pretty reasonable. Yeah, there's his roll. So everything's dead on mine. He could probably, yeah, he doesn't need any reason to re-roll. I can't do much. Okay, 1 hit. Nope, no other hits. Okay. Okay, that makes some decisions easier depending on what he decides to do here. So I've got a planetary, but my planetary doesn't include an AT-AT. So I can't easily deal with that shield bunker. So there's a possibility that unless he leaves everything here, I might actually need to planetary Bespin, because there's a chance that there's a chance that I can't kill everything on Bespin with a single walker and 2 stormtroopers, or a single ATST and 2 stormtroopers. Now, I could probably take that group out there, but now I just want you to think back to this Bespin idea I had. Also, this could be dangerous because of track them, but yeah, I don't have any ground troops, so maybe not. I just want you to think back to the decision I made to not block Bespin. That extra speeder is causing me some problems, so I'm very much regretting not blocking that build alliance. high-level Imperial play is very unforgiving with mistakes, and I think that was definitely one of them, because that speeder is going to be difficult to take down. So my planetary has got a few problems. 1, Medine is in the base. 2, they could be on subversion. 3, I'm not guaranteed to take Bespin back over. And if I blow planetary, well, and even if I planetary, I've only got 1 walker, and I have to take out 2 structures. Yeah, I just don't see it happening. I also don't have a lot of good stuff on the queue, but I did address delay with Tarkin to potentially get an extra ATST. So that can make a difference here, I think. So the question is, in what order to do what? Oh, well, the other problem is I also have tag on capture. So I need to combo Krennic's Finest with tag. And doing that on Medine also doesn't make a lot of sense. So I think there's a lot of reason I need to try to make this work with Krennic. Now I have to roll first. That's not an auto success. He could block that maybe if he has subversion, but he does not. Okay, so Krennic helps. So I've got 3 green dice and 2. All right, I was close. All right. We are going for Bespin with 3 rerolls. No tag there, so I can't get my cards back yet. I need to minimize loss of life here. So I'm going to blow up a trooper to make him roll minimum dice. And then he's only going to be rolling a green, and I could roll a heal on my red, which I do not. Nope. Okay, and if he rolls a hit, which he did, okay, that kills a stormtrooper. That's too bad. Okay, 1 stormtrooper left. Now I can back that up with 1 ATST and 2 extra stormtroopers, so I'll have a half-cocked planetary to deal with the base that I didn't want to deal with the planetary earlier, but I will be able to deploy another ATST and Ozzel, so that's okay. Okay, Chirrut is back. Oof, man. Just in time to block a capture, I guess. So Chirrut's back with his prepare for battle card. And now the decision is the capture going to get any easier down the road? And it's not. So I have to try to block now. Or I need to try to capture now. With tag plus Krennic's Finest is 3, plus 3 greens from regular Krennic and Krennic's Finest. Now he could block with Chirrut for 2. And he will attempt to do that. So the odds are definitely in my favor. Oh, maybe he won't. No? He was a little hesitant to block with him last turn. I'm not sure what else he's planning on, but maybe it's an objective that he's got to think about. I'm happy that he did not block with Chirrut because I only rolled 2. But Dodonna is captured again. Welcome back, old man. And now he has to decide what to do, knowing that Carbon is probably coming. I think I would have run an infiltrate where Krennic is, because this Carbon is going to be nasty, and I think he would have wanted Leia there if Leia's on infiltrate, which she might not be. Or maybe I try to run a sabotage. I don't know. That's a tough spot for the Rebs. All right, Carbon. Chirrut there too. It's just strength only. So Chirrut's got 2. And then I'm at 9 dice. Yeah, so he's not going to oppose with Chirrut, which probably was right. I don't think he was going to win that. Okay, that helps. I move the value back 1 with completing an old man popsicle. Now I have to be wary of a sabotage in Bespin. I also have to be wary of a build alliance in Bespin because of Lando's card, which allows the relocation of ground units to another Imperial system. Now Carbon did give me an extra turn, which feels really good here. I think that buys me enough time to try to pull this off. Okay, so now he makes the decision to place Chirrut there. So maybe it was a timing thing for Nico. Like he didn't want to lose pacing with the block. And now that that's the case, I need to wait on build a line, or I need to wait on rule by fear, and I need to wait on R&D. So I'll go ahead and play Tarkin on address delay to add that ATST. Thankfully, I can do that in Bespin, which will give me another dice to oppose Mothma, which feels nice. And then now he's likely to stack leaders there. So try the sabotage. He's going to roll 3 dice against a lot of dice. But the reason he's doing that is that will add an extra loyalty there, so he can rely it all on Lando. And playing Lando in Bespin is a bingo card for thematic reasons. So now that Sabotage is played, I can play R&D. And I can also do that in Bespin. But instead I use Ozzel to move everything to Bespin, including the subjugated Celeste unit, because I'm planning on Ozzeling in, and I need every troop I have there. All right. Looks like Leia's next with an infiltrate. So again, gonna stack infiltrate there, not for the purpose of getting an infiltrate, but for the purpose of getting the extra loyalty there. Again, hanging on Bespin to be successful. Okay, and we're gonna roll, I think. Yeah, okay. There comes Leia. So the infiltrate will be four dice and a little one with K2SO against a lot. And I'm debating on opposing with the Emperor here, but I decide against it because, again, I can't lose the pace that I've got going. If I oppose, then I have to R&D, and then he can do whatever Cassian's doing, and then I have to rule by fear, and then he can build alliance. So I want to be able to have a chance to rule by fear with Jabba after Mothma. So for that reason, I decide here not to oppose. So we go to roll, and I roll 3. He rolls 3. That opposes the infiltrate. That actually feels pretty good. So now I can R&D. And I know a rule by fear is coming, so I'll just go ahead and play Mahdi there. And I guess grab an interdictor. Then there's a heist. Okay, so he's going to grab a level 3 objective anyway, just without the ability to infiltrate, so that's okay. And now I can place the Emperor, including in Bespin if I want, or I can move things to Seleucami to hedge against him doing a rapid to Moncal. So that's the major decision here. What's more important? I think the most important thing is winning in Endor. So I think I place the Emperor in Bespin. And I do that now. Okay. This forces him to try a desperate build alliance. I'm going to have a lot of dice. He's going to have fewer dice. Well, is he going to have fewer? 3, 4, 5. Dodana is captured, so he doesn't actually count there. And yep. Okay, so he's going to roll 7 and 2 green dice. And I'm going to roll 6 and 1 green dice in opposition. So I think the odds are actually in my favor to tie. It's around 50-50. And I roll better than he does, so that blocks. I would have had a better than 50-50 chance to win with Java, but instead I can do Rule by Fear somewhere else. I really wish that was a card I could play on Moncal, but it is not. So count my blessings, pick my loyalty location. It's going to be Felucia, maybe. Yeah, Felucia's fine. Okay, end of turn. No objectives. Rapid. He decides to look at cards, and he also opts not to move the base. Fast forwarding to build. Now, this is a pretty major build phase here. I have 3 Star Destroyers, but 3 Star Destroyers is not actually capable of handling 2 Moncals on their own without imposing presence and without the flip the combat card when Moncals are fully loaded with their combat deck. We catch one minor issue here, which was the wrong unit on the queue. So a Nebulon is getting replaced with the Y-Wing, which is totally fine. Now, I could put a shield bunker in Bespin, but the problem with the shield bunker is I need to be attacking out. So I need to put units in Bespin, and I also need to have enough air to survive. So I have a total of 3 or 4 troops. Do I have 3 or 4 troops in Bespin? 3 plus a ATST. Okay. So I'll deploy an ATST and a Super Star Destroyer, and he is massing in Moncal, which is really unfortunate because that feels like where he's likely to dig for to try to escape here. So I got a few options. If I think he's planning on escaping to Moncal, I could drop the Super Star Destroyer and Ozzel, or I could drop anything into like somewhere, say into Felucia, or I drop 1 into Felucia and 1 in like 1 assault carrier into Felucia and 1 assault carrier into Seleucami, and then Ozzel in with that to drop the units on Moncal so that nothing can free him up. I mean, maybe they can do an Incite Rebellion or something, but I'd still have 4 guys there, which, isn't automatic, but decent chances. I also don't have my combat card, so I guess that's not actually automatic at all. But I could do like assault carriers and tanks maybe. Okay, and then I can put the Super Star Destroyer and ATST on Bespin. But if I Ozzel into Moncal, then I'm in trouble there. I think the move would have been to put assault carriers in Seleucami and Felucia, and then the Super Star Destroyer in Bespin. And then he couldn't have attacked both assault carriers in the 2 surrounding systems in Moncal. So if I Ozzel into Endor and lose, but say kill the space, for example, then he could kill one of my 2 assault carriers, but not both of them. And then I could potentially cover Moncal. I wouldn't win space, but I could potentially win ground. I could attack with tag, get my 501st card back in case of Incite Rebellion, which we haven't seen any of those yet. I could, I don't know. So I got lots of decisions here. I'm going to fast forward here for a sec, and then we're going to go down a rabbit hole. Okay, take a look at what the Rebs are doing here. So they have all 7 of their leaders, because Dodonna's captured, on missions. And this throws me for a major loop. He has 2 on Rapid, 2 fighting folks, Cassian and Riken. Okay, I guess it's not Medine. He's got Medine and Chirrut on missions, and he has nobody in reserve, and he knows I have Ozzel. So initially I was thinking, let's Ozzel into Endor. That's likely where the base is. And then I think to myself, well, maybe if he doesn't have any units, he can't attack me on turn 1. So what if I just Ozzel into Hoth? Like, what if this is the biggest bluff ever? And I Ozzel into Hoth and he says no. So now he can't attack me, but the problem is he still has hit and run. And if he hit and runs and I lose an ATST, then I'm back to an ATST and 3 troops fighting a speeder and 2 troops and a shield bunker, which is exactly what I didn't want to do. Now, I did get a carbon off, so if that fight goes badly, I can retreat and then redeploy 2 ATSTs next turn and then come in again and fight. But holy cow, what on earth was I thinking? Now, he also has a choice here. Because he has no leader back, he kind of needs to rapid too, so he can have fighters in there. But he doesn't. And now he hit and runs, which causes a problem because I'm low on ground assault again, but I needed to deploy that Super Star Destroyer there because I can't beat 2 Moncals without one, even with 3 Star Destroyers. I know that sounds crazy, but just like that's just how this works. I have a short where I demonstrate fully decked out combats, and Rebels are a nightmare when they have all their cards back, which they have right now. So I have to attack, but I also have to respect Return of the Jedi. So I can't bring the Emperor or Vader. And Krennic is good, but I'm weakest on ground. And he doesn't have any leaders because he chose to play hit and run, which I think was correct. But the fact that he didn't have any leaders back caused me to ozzle somewhere that wasn't the base. So in like a weird way, it was like a genius thing to do. And also, it actually makes me keep an assault carrier back too, because I cannot leave. I guess I could have brought Dodonna, would have been the correct thing to do. I was thinking I would leave Dodonna, but I could bring Dodonna into this fight and actually have an extra assault carrier, which would have been the correct thing to do now that I'm looking at it. I was just so focused on this issue of like, why in goodness gracious did I not ozzle into a base that I knew was in Endor that didn't have any leaders, and I would be rolling with rerolls when he didn't have any, and I'd have an extra ATST. Like I got out psyched about Hoth. So and here Nico's comment is like, I had a mistake. I should have kept a leader back. And I said, the fact that you didn't keep a leader back freaked me out, because then I felt like I needed to go to Hoth. Because what I was anticipating happening is ozzling into Endor, having it be empty, and then he was going to get another round of deploy, and I definitely wasn't going to have enough things to deal with Hoth at that point. So like I just got in my own head. Is what happened there. All right, so flipping the combat, he's blocking hits, and then flipping the combat back. So this is why the rebels are so nasty. Now I roll like a beast. That's an insane roll. Krennic's Finest has 1 reroll, but I roll 4 hits on black out of 5 dice, which is wild. And then I rolled 4 hits on red. He blocks 1 of them, but 3 of them were crits. So that's great too. I mean, I can fully damage the Nebulon. Now, chances are that will heal, but then it's wounded for next turn and the Nebulon card has already been played. So maybe I should have done that on Moncal's. I'm not sure. But I'm just trying to remove dice because he has no reroll, so he might not heal. But he does. Okay, so he's got 3 red damage. I have no black ships. So he rolls a heal, which is average, and then a heal on black, which is pretty much average too. So I only killed 3 hit points, but he only killed an assault carrier for 2. So good for me. Now here's the big one. For ground combat, what do you do here as Rebs? You know that I have blocking hits. So if he chooses to play the shield bunker card and I play block hits, that's bad for him. Now, maybe I should be opening with imposing presence to see what he's got first. I think if you have a shield bunker, you always play the shield bunker card as a good default. But there's a chance that he loses both his troops and or his speeder and then can't play a good follow-up card here. But he can do enough red damage, and I think his big thing is needing to survive. So shield bunker card, I think, is right. And then I just try to do damage. So I'm just going to try to overload the speeder and kill the troops and do everything and have something survive next round, because I just need to dish it out. Like this round, bombard next round. Okay. 2 hits, that's fine. And 3 rerolls for 3 more hits. Okay. That's a very good roll again. Okay, 1 extra on the speeder, 2 on that guy, 2 on that guy. Okay, he could heal 2 from the speeder and just keep it like that, and then shield bunker again next card instead. But he does choose to blow up the bunker, probably so he can play the tow cables card next turn. And he rolls 2 crits. 2 crits. Wow. Okay. What do you take out there? I don't know. I think that might be right. You take that out, and then if you tow cables the walker and shoot the troop, even if I blow up the speeder, you're still alive. So see what happens. Okay, one more red damage to that. I take 2 to that Star Destroyer, and there's an ion cannon in play. It doesn't affect me yet, but there is an ion cannon in play. It's going to start kicking in here in a minute. Okay, another good roll. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 and 2 on the Y-wing. So we'll just load up the Mon-Cal and hope he doesn't heal. And even if he does, we'll just take him out next turn. Okay, 2 heals. So he can heal the Nebulon and the Mon-Cal. Okay. The Y-wing is dead. Oh, he can heal the Nebulon. I'll point that out to him here. Yep. Okay. All right, so he's still got a reasonable fleet. It's just damaged. Okay, I think I need to Imposing Presence to place my card afterwards, but I decide to just go for the kill. It's possible. I mean, I'm probably getting toe cabled, right? So if I get toe cabled, then he has 2 chances to roll a crit to kill my guy. And if I don't kill this guy, like, then I'm in real bad shape. So Walker got toe cabled. I need to kill this, and he needs to not roll a hit. Okay. I did kill the speeder. He misses. He misses. Okay. It's not over yet because we have one more turn to play cards. So he's going to damage my guy, and then I'm going to have to roll a heal. And then I'm still at max because I have 7 red. An ion cannon hits me for 2. And I can play no card next round, which is fine. And he does 1 damage that can't be healed because it's an ion cannon. Okay. I do 2. 2 and 2 heals that I can't use. Okay, Krennic's Finest space rolling is catching up with me here. No heals. He rolls 1 heal. Okay, so he can heal that Mon-Cal up. Can take out a Star Destroyer, and the Nebulon's dead. So now it's a Super and a Star Destroyer and an Ion Cannon. And 2 Mon-Cals, one of which is wounded. Okay, I need to heal. I just need to roll a heal is what needs to happen. One, 2, nope, dead. Okay. So Ion Cannon's alive, and now I actually have a problem because I got to deal with these space guys. And he gets no card this round. Mine is not functional. So I'm at 5 minus 2 is 3. Okay, 3 hits. 3 hits and a heal. So I'm going to just keep with the plan. I'm going to do 1 extra to that Mon-Cal because he seems to be rolling heals. And then, okay, a heal and 4 damage. Okay, that's the Star Destroyer. He can't heal the one with 5 because it's cooked. Okay, now it's a super against an ionized super with a leader against a Mon-Cal with no leader. Good Lord. Imagine if Lando was there. What a nightmare. 1 damage. He gets 2 reds back and gets 2 damage. Okay. 4 hit points against 3 hit points. I have the better combat cards now, though. So I can do, okay, he does no card next round, fine. 1 hit, 2 hits. Okay, he's at 4. 1 heal, okay. I get no card. He plays transport card, which doesn't do anything. I get 1 hit, he gets 1 hit. Okay, Moncal down. One single ion cannon left on the base. Also, I apparently should have brought that. Had I brought that extra carrier, probably would have lasted a little bit longer. But then I would have actually had to leave Dodonna there when I retreated back. I'm pretty sure I retreat back here. I don't know what the benefit to staying would be. It would just open me up to a hit and run. I'm just trying to think about how I'm going to kill that guy, that ion cannon. All right, so I decided to move it back. Okay, rapid. I'm fairly well set up with missions to defend against Lando. He doesn't have any way to get troops back there, so I think just moving to Seleucami is the most correct way to do things here. Because then I can potentially deploy a Star Destroyer and move into Moncal next turn. So I'll move my double carriers out there. Just move everything but a TIE fighter from Kessel. He can play something. Okay, it's an infiltrate. Okay, we're going to do that same game here, so that's fine. He can roll for infiltrate. 3, successful. Okay, he's back to his level 1s. Okay, I'm on Rule by Fear. We'll try that with Vader. Successful. See if we have a plant false leads come up here. Plant false leads would be tough. No, it's sabotage. Okay, he's going to try there on Vader's area. I should be able to resist that with 3v1 or 3v3. Oh, I guess it does work. Okay. So he'll do that, and then I'll R&D it real quick. Get a card back. Oh, he did it to kill the shield bunker. Okay, that's fine. I'll still R&D, I suppose. And maybe I'll do it in Bespin to try to block a build alliance if he does that there. Grab the laser just in case. Build alliance. Okay, pose that with the Emperor, I think. So the play there is if build alliance goes through, then he can Lando that into Felucia, where I will have deployed a Star Destroyer, and then he could move in with his whole fleet there, plus the Moncal he's going to deploy and battle the Star Destroyer. So I would then have to survive and retreat back to Seleucami, and then survive one more full round so I could then deploy some more aircraft carriers and then attack into Moncal after that. So I'm going to attempt to stop the speeder from building this round. Again, that was a pretty big mistake I had that last time. So we'll move this Krennic over into Bothui and then see what Leia's up to. Leia passes. Tag will go to Celeste, I think, is the right way to do this. Just keep covering systems. Yep. Okay, Celeste. And then finally with Tarkin, we will go to, I think we build Alliance, or we run Tarkin's mission in Geonosis. Just remove a loyalty. There's not really anywhere else to do it from, unfortunately. Okay. And then now he is drawing 8 cards, and he knows, I think, what 6 of these 8 are going to be. So I'm assuming Mon Cal is in there. And what he does here is he digs through and he looks. And at the end of this rapid, he reveals that Mon Cal was not in the 8 cards that he drew. It happens to be the next card on the deck. So there was a 6 out of 8 chance that the Mon Cal is in there. I got lucky with the 25% that it was not. So the post-mortem on this game, we're going to break down some of that here. There were a few major plays that came into it. One was preventing Lando from building Alliance and independent operationing on Bespin. That was a thing that worked in my favor. A couple of mistakes. One, I gave up an easy build Alliance block on Bespin that would have prevented one objective from being scored and also would have prevented a speeder from being in the base. Also, I Ozled in Hoth out of an abundance of caution, which I don't think was very good. Here are his rapid options. Now, interestingly enough, he would have had Hoth as a rapid option, so I don't know. You can also see his objectives up here that he could score, so I almost stumbled into Return of the Jedi. He did have Death Star plans. That was going to be hard to score, and I wasn't lasering anything. And Defend the People wasn't going to score either. So we would be at turn 8 without any objectives coming up. I don't know which one he's going to draw next, but we'll see. And then for, cards coming up, he was going to draw a Hit and Run and an Incite Rebellion. That seems pretty good. He was going to deploy a Mon Cal there. So we would have had a pretty thick fight. I would have had to survive turn 8, roll into turn 9, and then at that point be good. And what I'm doing here is I'm outlining, just to close everything down, what it would have looked like had he stayed in Endor. And that would have been deploy 2 ATSTs to Bespin. And then I had the 1 stormtrooper in Hoth. So he could have opened with a hit and run to eliminate 1 of the ATSTs, but I still could have landed in Endor with 3 things. And then I'm just lamenting my getting psyched out about Ozzel there. Again, I don't know really what I was thinking there. It would have potentially even been better to have just Ozzeled into Mon Cal to prevent that escape, and then just fought Endor normally. His card coming up, or the ones that, these are the cards he passed on. He did pass on Raid Outposts, and he passed on Raid Outposts in exchange for the guaranteed pickup of No One Left Behind. I was on Yavin at the time, and I don't think I saw him discard any hidden fleets, so that's probably okay. Yeah, I think even if he escapes, I have a chance. Because again, he doesn't have the Mon Cal card in hand for an attack. So I think I can drop Krennic there, have a good fight, kill some stuff. And then the second round, I have assault carriers to deploy all over the place to do a big attack on Mon Cal. And I don't think he'll have enough to survive that. But you never know, man. Anyway, lots of things to learn here. Hope everybody had a good watch. Thanks again, and I'll see you guys around.